What's up, YTPC? This is DSG Pipe Smoker with another pipe smoking video, and today I have set aside, where did I put the tin? A rubbed out flake of 1792 flake to continue drying out. I have had this tobacco in this tin cracked so the seal around it isn't actively sealing out any air. I've had this thing cracked for about 3 or 4 months, and it's just now getting to the point to where I can, break the flake up and let it sit out. So it's got a few more minutes to go, but I figured in the meantime I would start my top 3 pipe tobaccos for 2016. So this is going to be part 1 of a multi-part series with many genres in it. So without further ado, let's get started with part 1, which will be aromatics, crossover blends, and OTC non-aromatic blends. So, first category is the aromatics. And in the number 3 spot is Captain Black Original. Captain Black Original is an outstanding aromatic. Smokes cool, doesn't bite, is typical of Captain Black blends, but it also has a nice whiskey note to it. I like it. Number 2 is Stanwell Jambalaya. I don't know if I've ever smoked this on the channel or not, but Stanwell Jambalaya, you could almost call it a crossover blend because of the heavy Darkfire Kentucky influence in it, which I appreciate. Most aromatics are so heavily cased you can't taste the other components of the tobacco, and they're usually using stuff like Burley and, Black Cavendish, Virginia, stuff that can easily absorb the casings and get overpowered by the artificial flavoring. But Stanwell Jambalaya is different. It has that sweet mesquite, smoky this that you get from Darkfire Kentucky, but it's got a heavy, almost like a mixed berry with a heavy raspberry to it. I highly, highly recommend this tobacco. Especially if you're getting bored with, your typical aromatics. This is a nice change of pace. However, it is not number 1. Number 1 in the aromatic category is actually a tobacco that I started out with when I first started smoking a pipe, and it hasn't been kicked off the aromatic pedestal yet. It is an old faithful. It is Captain Black Royal, otherwise known as Lane 1Q in a pouch. I don't think there's much I can tell you guys that you don't already know about it. Lane 1Q has been around forever, and it's just a reliable, all day, every day kind of smoke. Beautiful flavor to it, no bite. The pouch that I got recently was a little too moist, but that's not the normal. Usually you get a pouch and it's perfect. So, Captain Black Royal is the number 1 aromatic for 2016. Now on to the crossover blends. Now, a crossover blend, for these of you who don't know, it's a blend where they take 2 different genres and they basically combine them, and it's supposed to be like let's say you're an English smoker and you want to try your aromatics, but you don't want to jump into something so fruity and artificial that you aren't really going to like it. So you start out with a blend that has a little bit of a casing to it, but it also has a lot of Kia in it. So that would be an aromatic English crossover. I've got a couple of those in the top 3 category, as well as another one you may or may not have heard of. Number 3 in the crossover category, from Moonshine Pipes. They do blend their own tobacco, and I got this from pipesandcigars.com, but Moonshine Pipes made a pipe tobacco that's an English aromatic. It's an English blend with whiskey casing to it, and that's their Triple X blend. Excellent blend. very heavy in the whiskey, and you still get that Latakia smokiness. Highly recommend it. Number 2 in the crossover blends. Number 2 in the top 3 category for the crossover blends for 2016 is Frogmorton Cellar. Now, for those of you who don't know, you might be able to hear it rattling in there. Frogmorton Cellar it's also an English aromatic, and it's also a whiskey flavored English aromatic. But instead of using heavy syrups and casings, this is how Frogmorton Cellar is flavored with whiskey. This is a stave. It's a chunk of wood from a whiskey barrel, and it impedes the whiskey notes onto the tobacco. Now, a method like that, I wasn't really expecting too much out of it in terms of it being able to, give you any kind of flavor beyond just original Frogmorton, but I was very, very surprised. It's a beautiful smoke. I think Frogmorton comes a little bit dry for my taste, but excuse me, throat's getting kind of dry from talking. But it's a beautiful smoke, like I said, sweet, smoky, and just the right amount of whiskey topping to it. So that is what brought Frogmorton Cellar to the number 2 spot. In the number 1 spot is also an English blend, but it's an English cigar leaf blend. I know that might be confusing for some of you because usually if a blend has, like if it's a cigar leaf blend, it'll have Latakia in it, but people will just call it a cigar leaf blend. Or they'll call it an English blend. The thing about this tobacco is, this is a company who created a cigar and a pipe tobacco, and they made those two products and those two blends with the intention of introducing pipe smokers to cigar leaf and introducing cigar smokers to pipe tobacco. That company is Spectre. Spectre is a blend, like I said, I consider it a crossover English aromatic. The Latakia and the cigar leaf in the pipe tobacco, I haven't tried their cigars yet, but their pipe tobacco is outstanding. If you ever want to try, a cigar, but you don't want to spend the prices on it, I've said before that, Country Lawyer is an excellent tobacco if you want to try cigar leaf, and I still consider that to be true. However, if you love Latakia and you're not willing to give that up, sorry, my throat's getting really dry. I'm gonna have to hydrate when I get done with this, but you gotta try some Spectre while you still can. It's a relatively recent blend. It is possibly not going to be on the market anymore, but while it's still on the market and the FDA has not taken it off the market, go get yourself some Spectre, especially if you want to try cigar leaf blends, but you're a pipe smoker at heart. What's up, guys? So, I'm back, getting hydrated, because I'm tired of that crackly feeling in the back of my throat, but we got one more category to do for this first part, and that is the non-aromatic over-the-counter blends. Now, I say non-aromatic, it's not to say that they aren't cased. In fact, some of these blends you could probably argue that they are at least mild aromatics, but it's not an ultra obvious casing. So, I put them in the category of non-aromatic, and they are over-the-counter blends. That's what OTC stands for. So, without further ado, let's get started. Number 3 in the non-aromatic category is Half and Half, which I have in this jar right here. You can see I haven't smoked very much of it. So, how did it make number 3? Well, it made number 3 because there were 4 over-the-counter non-aromatic blends that I've tried. Of the 4, Prince Albert was one of them. And I don't know if there's a tobacco... There could very well be, I'm not going to rule it out, but I have yet to try a tobacco in all genres, just overall, that is worse than Prince Albert. Prince Albert is completely unsmokable. Compared to Half and Half, which I have done a review on, and I will put it down in the description box, compared to Half and Half, Half and Half is, leaps and bounds better than Prince Albert. So, even though I didn't give it a great review, it does make the top 3 because, like I said, there are 4 tobaccos that I have tried in that genre, and Half and Half beats out Prince Albert. I refuse to put Prince Albert on the top 3 list. So, yeah, that's why Half and Half is in the top 3. Number 2 in the OTC blend, and I've been going back and forth between this and what I consider now to be number 1, but number 2, right now, as of the recording of this video, in the non-aromatic OTC blend is Velvet. Velvet is... They say it's a dark-fired Kentucky blend. I don't really get that. To me, this tastes like a typical burley. It is very dark, or at least the tobacco is. You can see that it's kind of a dark brown. Has a nice aroma to it. To me, this is like smoking, like burley and Big Red gum. I love this stuff. Again, there were a few times I almost considered this to be like the number 1 OTC blend, but as of the recording of this video, I had to make a decision, so I did. And I couldn't, have a number 1 draw in this category, mainly because, like I said, in order for me to do that, that would mean Prince Albert would have to make the top 3. That's not going to happen. So, I had to make a very hard decision and make Velvet the number 2 spot, which would put Carter Hall in the number 1 spot. Carter Hall is an awesome all-day smoke that just never fails. It's very consistent. It doesn't... some pipes like my Dr. Graybo and my Royal... What is this thing called again? My Royal Guard pipe. They tend to bring out the burleys a little bit better. Excuse me. But by and large, it's very consistent from bowl to bowl. I absolutely love Carter Hall. If you haven't tried it, and you're thinking about trying OTC blends, I highly recommend Velvet too, but Carter Hall is the shit. And it is the number 1 spot for 2016 in the over-the-counter non-aromatic category. So, with that being said, I'm going to go smoke the 1792 flake in a small corncob pipe. If you guys want to stick around to see that, that would be awesome. In the meantime, this has been DSG Pipe Smoker with another pipe smoking video. You guys have a good day. What's up, YouTube? So, got the very, very small pipe that was recommended to use with the 1792 flake by Classic Pipes. However, I am not sitting down. I'm not bracing for the massive impact of heavy nicotine like I probably should have, but I've dried it out pretty heavily. I will admit I am a little bit weak in the knees, but nothing too severe. It started out very, very good. Nice, heavy, dark fire Kentucky. Some spiciness to it as well. But now, what I can imagine is probably the tonka bean is starting to kick in about halfway through the bowl, and I don't know what to think of it. I don't hate it. Don't necessarily like it either. It's not soapy. I know that because unlike most, you guys probably can't see my face. Unlike most millennials, I do know what soap tastes like. I've had it in my mouth. Soap or soapy doesn't really pop in my mind, but those are my thoughts on 1792 Flake. You guys have a Merry Christmas, and this has been DSG Pipe Smoker with another pipe smoking video. Have a good day.